Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the channel of the High Priestess of Hedonism. My guest today is a person of many facets and several layers. While he may be a doctor by profession, by practice certainly, he excels in processing lemons. Because each time God has handed him lemons, he's gone ahead and made lemonade. So today, our pursuit of pleasure is via learning how to reap lemons, how to process and make lemonade from our very special guest, Dr. Sanjay Dhawan. And you'll all know in a little while how. Dr. Sanjay Dhawan is the Director of Ophthalmology and Senior Eye Surgeon at Max Healthcare. He is a gold medalist. He is a mentor to the junior doctors. He is deeply involved in evolving new surgical techniques and introducing best practices both in management and the operations side. Dr. Dhawan's finest contribution is perhaps how he revolutionized the concept of community care and community service in eye surgery and eye care. Besides all the milestones he's attained and is attaining in his professional life, Sanjay Dhawan is quite the rock star and he sings like a dream. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the singing surgeon.
Thank you very much. तू कहाँ ये बता इस नशीली रात में माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना है रे माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हो तू कहाँ ये बता इस नशीली रात में माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना है रे हाय माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हो बड़ा नटखट है समा बड़ा नटखट है समा है नजारा है जवा छा गया चारों तरफ मेरी आहों का धुआं दिल मेरा मेरी जान ना जला तू कहाँ ये बता इस नशीली रात में माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हाय रे माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हो आई जब ठंडी हवा आई जब ठंडी हवा मैंने पूछा जो बता वो भी कतरा के गई और बेचैन किया प्यार से तू मुझे दे सदा तू कहाँ ये बता इस नशीली रात में माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हाय रे हाय माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हे चांद तारों ने सुना चांद तारों ने सुना इन बहारों ने सुना दर्द कारा मेरा गुजारों ने सुना तू भी सुन जाने मन आ भी जा तू कहाँ ये बता इस नशीली रात में माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हाय रे हाय माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हाय रे माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना हाय रे हाय माने ना मेरा दिल दीवाना.
Yay! That is fantastic. Formally, welcome to the chamber of the High Priestess of Hedonism, Sanjay. So
Thank you
happy
very
to
much.
have you with us this afternoon.
Just give me a moment to change my audio.
Yes.
Thank you very much for
A
having me on your
big
show.
welcome, a big welcome, and so happy, so delighted to have you today.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Like I said in the introduction, you are a man of many facets, several talents, several layers, which we will try and unravel one after the other during the course of our conversation. And there are some some aspects which are going to leave lasting lessons for the benefit of everybody, who's going to tune in and listen to and view the conversation. Really, Sanjay. So, what a pleasure it's going
Thank
to
you very
be
much.
to get on the conversation with you.
Thank you very much. And let me tell you that, in my past few months, I have seen that it's not just me. Everyone, each one of us has got so many different aspects to us, different talents to us. We just need to explore. We just need to liberate ourselves and show them up to the world.
True, true. What a fine thing to say. What a fine word to use. Liberate your spirit. Get wings, fly high. What a fantastic, really imagery that you have, put forth, Sanjay. Absolutely, it resonates with me. So I'm going to jump into the question. First I want to say to you, for the benefit of everybody around, people think surgeons are very, serious people, very sort of, focused, very doer, very sort of, uninteresting, and just into, their cutting up business. But you are the singing surgeon, right? I mean, you are. Of course, there are a whole lot of talents that you want to talk about, that you have and you've honed over a period of time. But singing is one which has really stood out. You sing with passion and you sing professionally. What brings you to all that?
Well, as a child, I was always interested in music, and I wanted to learn music, study music, not as a profession, but as a passion.
Yes,
But I could not get the opportunity to learn that. And so my talent, my passion was suppressed in the childhood,
yes,
and focus was more on studies. Though I was not too great in studies, also I dabbled in a lot of things, a lot of ups and downs. But music was always a passion. So I could not sing, I could not play, but I always heard music. So music in the form of listening to music stayed with me throughout life. So I've
yes.
always been listening to music, the All India Radio, with Bharati was the days in those
Lovely.
days.
That's right.
And then, of course, then the recorded music came into being. So music has always been there. I still use it even in my work. And you'll be surprised to know that for last more than 5 years, I have been playing music in my OPD when I see my patients. There's a music playing in the background. When
Wow.
I operate, there's a music playing in the background. Initially, when I started, I was a little hesitant that how will the patient take? Will they find it odd? Will they find it awkward? No, because it was not the norm. A
Correct.
doctor's office was supposed to be very serious affair,
Yeah,
very serious
yeah.
thing.
That's scary. It's a
But
very scary thing.
yeah, so I experimented first with playing music in my OPD, and I was surprised. Patients liked it. They appreciated it. I played it in the OT, and patients liked it. I felt that my patients were more comfortable
Yes,
getting the surgery done.
yes.
I was more comfortable operating on them.
Fantastic.
And then it has become so much part of my clinical practice that the day that I do not play music in my OPD, my patients ask me, Doc, where is the music?
Lovely.
And if
Lovely.
suppose I have operated on one eye of a patient with the music, and the second time there's no music, those patients ask me, Doc, where is the music? So I feel that music is a universal language,
It is.
and everybody understands it, everybody likes it,
Correct.
So it should be a very important part of everyone's life.
Work and this stuff. No, you're right. Music is a very powerful tool, Sanjay. And it really changes. It's like switching on, putting a switch on. You're sad, you're feeling low. You put on peppy music, your mood changes almost immediately. In your chamber, as a surgeon, people go to you for an eye is such a delicate organ. They go to you with a serious thing, and eye surgery would put a sense of fear in the patient. But you listen
Yeah,
to music, and that's going to relax you. So I think that it serves a twin purpose. So it really calms down the nerves, relaxes the patient. The patient looks forward to it, and I think the trust is built up as well alongside. In your acumen as well, that the doc knows his business, and we're going to be okay. We're in safe hands. We can relax and put our trust in the surgeon. I think that's a fantastic part of therapy. I think it's a
also I think the moment the people they listen to the music, they feel that they're not talking to a machine. They're not
yes,
talking
yes,
to, a inhuman doctor,
yes,
but they talk to somebody who is similar to them, who
absolutely
has same interests, who is affected by the same emotions, the same music. So it's important
correct.
there.
And
Of course, the kind of music that I use over there is different
know,
from the kind of music that I sing.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
What is the
but
kind of music that you put on in your OPD and the theater?
mostly the music is soft,
Yes,
soft and soothing,
yes,
and it's mainly instrumental. I am very fond of Western classical instrumental music. I'm
yes,
fond of Indian classical music
yes.
also. Of course, Bollywood music is also always there.
Right.
In the operation theater, I tend to ask my patient that what is it do? Is there any specific kind of music that you like?
I see.
And if possible, I try to put that kind of music for them. Because
Fantastic.
for me, my taste is very wide. I like all kind of good music.
Correct. Correct.
So on the operation table, I ask my patients,
That's that.
and in the OPD, it depends on the mood of the day. Sometimes I'm in a romantic mood, sometimes I'm in a sad mood, sometimes in a purely quiet mood. So the
Fantastic.
music changes, but it's usually on the softer side.
Correct. Correct. And
The hard ones, hard rock, and those types of music
know,
are for my
that's for
when I'm
personal
in my
consumption.
in my car or at home.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Music. We react to music in separate ways. As individuals. I mean, in my case, for example, a lot of people can't study with music, and they tend to study better. They concentrate, better when the music is playing in the background. I'm not one of those fortunate few. I concentrate on other things better if the music is on. But studies I have to have in the peace and quiet. But perhaps you perform better, when you have music while you're doing your work as well. I want to also allay fears of people who might think that you are you play music and perform surgery. I want to be able to reveal that you have very successfully performed surgeries on people so close to you, as close as your own mother and your father-in-law and your own school principal. So tell us about that, I mean, and that's a very difficult thing to do, to be able to perform with that accuracy. I remember your wife commenting on that, saying that, your hand did not shake when you were performing surgery on your own mother. Now that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest test anyone can sort of put oneself, out to. So tell us about that, Sanjay.
Thank you very much for
Yes,
those kind words.
yes,
When I'm operating, I'm in a different zone. I'm in a different mental zone, and so that's one thing.
yes,
And then every patient is important.
yes,
When the question arose of my mother that who will operate on her eye, so I was initially had some doubts. Then I questioned myself that if I am not capable of operating on my mother's eye, I have no right to touch anybody else's eye. And my answer to that was yes, I can operate on her. And the first eye when I did for her, I did have a friend of me available on call, on phone, that in case I feel nervous or anything, please come over and help me out. But fortunately, that need never arose. I had to just call him back and thank him also for being on the standby. And my anesthetist friend who was looking after my mom during the surgery, he came out and he commented to my wife that if I were to put a cardiac monitor on your husband's heart, I'm sure it would be as rock steady as any heart can be.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
So it's I think it's God's grace that my surgical hand is good. And as I said, that when I'm operating, I'm in a different zone. And for me, I'm in a very, very objective state. It's sort of a meditation. I feel that some sort of, I become an instrument, actually. I become an instrument, and it feels that something is using and operating that instrument.
Correct.
So operating on my mother was a test for me. Operating on my father-in-law was a bigger test for me. The stakes were higher there,
Correct.
And of course, I operated my school principals. But the most interesting of all the patients was my director of neurosurgery from my medical college.
I see.
And there's very, very early in my career that he called me. He said, I want to come to meet you in my UroPD. I saw him. So I said, sir, you have got cataract. He said, I know that I have got cataract and I want you to operate. I was taken aback. It was an early part of my career. I had not established my name or any credibility and all. But at one point of time, I had worked in the same hospital as with him, and I had also operated on some patients along with him.
True.
And I accepted, and with my throbbing heart, I operated on him. Fortunately, things went absolutely perfect. In one of the follow-up visits afterwards, he told me, he said, Sanjay, do you know why did I choose you?
Right.
I could have chosen anyone from the city, but why I chose you?
Yes.
He said that you had come to my operation theater to assist me in one of my surgeries, no? And I saw you operating on that patient through the microscope, and I saw your hand. And I knew that you are the one who's going to be operating on my eye. That was, I think, the biggest compliment for me. And I think I'm getting emotional right now talking about that.
Yes, and what an endorsement, from a very strong professional, you can't have a better endorsement than that, Sanjay.
Yeah, he was no more right now. He was one of the top neurosurgeons of the country.
Lovely.
And he was the director of the institution which is my alma mater,
Lovely. The reason that you are invited to this show is not only because it is incidental that you are one of the top eye surgeons in the country today. That's just one part of it, and that's not the reason why you're here. You are here on this platform today is because of your unique and highly inspiring life story, Sanjay. It is such a remarkable journey that you've had, and the stones that of foundation that you've laid down. It is incredible, and I'd like to talk to you about that. My first question to you is from being a dyslexic to earning double degrees to getting a gold medal from no less than the then president of India. How tough has been your academic journey? Take us through that, please.
Well, sometimes I feel that the university committed a mistake in that now.
That's what you say.
Well, okay, now that it's all in the past and I've gone through it, I can always, look back at it and joke about it.
Correct.
But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was difficult, But the best part was that I did not know that I have dyslexia. And in those days, dyslexia or learning problems or difficulties were simply, there's no awareness of them. There's no diagnosis. So those who did not read very well or write very well, they were just labeled as this boy has got bad handwriting.
Yeah. Or
he's not interested in reading. He's bad in reading. He's not interested in studies.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a very interesting record of mine that from the very first report card of nursery to the very last school report card, every annual report card said, improve your handwriting. So, so my handwriting was bad.
True.
My reading was awful.
Yes.
So I had very now looking back, I can tell that I had a very specific reading, writing disability
Correct.
or problem or difficulty,
Correct.
whatever you call it,
Correct.
no,
Correct.
which is being labeled as dyslexia nowadays.
Yes.
But this was very much there.
Yes.
And I ended up often blaming myself.
Yes.
My teacher blamed me,
Yes.
my parents and people said that, do this, do that, practice writing every day, practice reading every day, and it will improve. I tried very hard, nothing worked.
True.
I read books on speed reading made easy, nothing worked. I tried writing, nothing worked. And the paradox was, I could draw very well.
I see.
I have seen people who drew very well, they had very good handwriting.
Right.
But in my case, I could draw very well, but my handwriting was pathetic. And my wife jokes, your handwriting is like you take an ant, dip it in ink, and make it crawl on a piece of paper. So, and I joke back to her. I said, I don't write, I encode.
Yes.
So you have to decode it.
Yes. Oh God.
So it's become a joke in the family. But yes, the difficult part was yes, reading, writing was difficult, and which is somehow required. And in medical college, it was even a bigger challenge
Correct.
because our texts are really long, and I did have difficult times. I had ups and downs in my academics over there. Somehow, some natural strategies got developed, which happened unknowingly.
Right.
I would end up picking up, you know, I would always aspire to read thick, big books which everybody else read. But I also ended up discovering, exploring, finding small, precise, condensed books, though which were difficult to read, but the text was small.
Yes.
And it is those books which really helped me a lot. Now, for example, in the school days, let us say in class 11th and 12th, there are NCRT textbooks,
Yes.
and there are those big private the published books also.
Correct.
All those published books are, thick volumes. The NCRT books are 1/4 or 1/3 the volume.
Yes.
But they have condensed knowledge. The amount of knowledge which is there in those NCRT books is amazing.
Correct.
I preferred that. I read that. And that helped me get into medical colleges. And similarly, similar things happened in my college also. I ended up reading, condensed text, sometimes journals also in my post-graduation, and that really helped me a lot. So even now also reading is difficult. So I'm fond of books. Again, it's ironical.
Yeah.
I'm fond of books. I aspire to read books, but I can't read them fast enough. If I were to pick up one book, it may take me months, and I may lose interest after a few weeks or so. So I have taken to now Audible books.
Yes.
So recently I discovered audible.com, and I subscribed to that. And I am now reading, I'm not reading, but listening to the Audible books, which are thick ones. And currently I'm listening to Atlas Shrugged, which is one of the thickest books.
I know. Are you liking it? I never did take to it. Is it nice?
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and the fact that I'm enjoying it is that otherwise I would not be able to read beyond a few pages of this book. I remember that a long time back in my, I think, early age, somebody recommended Ayn Rand Atlas Fountainhead.
Yes.
And my friend was raving about this author, that this is the best author and this is the best book and you must read it. And I bought that book and I picked it up.
Yes.
I could not go beyond page 10.
No, absolutely.
Not because the book is bad, but it's so thick,
But Sanjay, those two books by Ayn Rand, I think they are the two most famous books who everybody quotes, but no one's read, or very few people have read, because of the sheer. It's very laborious to read both Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead.
My wife claims that she has read Atlas Shrugged 22 times.
What are you saying? I have to talk to her. Really?
Yes. Yeah, she could have. I mean, she's also as mad as I am.
Next time I have both of you there on the show, let me talk about things. Lovely.
Yes, so we're poles apart that way in our reading abilities, you
Yes,
know.
yes, yes.
So it's I think it's kind of, you know, again, irony of fate that poles apart are together, and one person is, you know, so prolific reader and
Right.
the other person is dyslexic, and her handwriting is so good, so beautiful. She even calligraphs, you know.
Lovely.
And I hate to sign, you know, my signatures, no two signatures ever match.
Yeah. Oh,
So for last 15 years,
right.
I have not signed a check. All my transactions have been happening online for last 15 years. If anybody asks for a check, I say I will not make you any payment, you know.
Yeah. Amazing. Sanjay, in this response, you've touched upon two very important aspects, and I want to re-impress that. One is that in the previous times, these are much better times now for children, for the young people, for people who are also for so many fields. You talked about having a problem which is an identified, diagnosed, recognized problem of dyslexia, and the kind of huge problems you faced while growing up as a student, first as a
Yeah.
normal student like any of us, and then in a specialized field of medicine, which is so study intense, and research intense sort of field.
Mhm.
Uh, you faced flack from people, you faced sort of humiliation from people, you faced self-doubt because you did not know what is wrong with you. People say, oh, bad grades, that's the problem. Not studying hard
Yeah.
enough, he's not a
Yeah.
hardworking student, he's not good in studies, he's not interested, and without knowing what the actual problem was. So you had to traverse through all that difficult sort of, struggle, infused phase, and you had to come out of that, also fight the inner inhibitions. You had no idea what is wrong with you, so you were also demoralizing your own self. So that
Yeah.
was such a difficult thing. Now at least we know, we have a label on it, we know that it's dyslexia. There is cure for that, there's therapy for that, there's practice for that, and people view it differently, more kindly, with much more kinder eyes. You do not face that, like few people from your generation. That's
But
one
I would also say that in a way things are bad nowadays, which I
right.
see, and I often, I know, argue with the parents of the kids who have similar problem.
Yes.
Right now, you know what they attempt to do is, if somebody is dyslexic, they try to teach them to read and to write, try to make them like others. That is where they're wrong.
Right.
So if there's a difficulty in reading and writing, do not insist on them to read or write. Don't give them extra time to write.
I see.
Writing for dyslexic is painful. You give more time for them to write an exam. That means you're giving them more pain. There are innumerable other means nowadays to acquire knowledge and to express your knowledge.
Okay.
Use those means.
Give us
There are audiovisual means.
examples of that, Sanjay.
There are audiovisual means.
Yes.
So through video, YouTube has been a bad, but has been a big boon also.
True.
There are so many resources and channels in YouTube which are educational. I'll
Quite.
give you a name. I'm not promoting the channel, but I'm giving a name. For example,
Yes.
there's a thing called Crash Course,
Okay.
a channel called Crash Course on YouTube.
Okay.
You go to that channel, look up these basic chapters, basic simple teachings of the school level. Such an amazing way of educating, imparting knowledge. Nothing to beat that kind of thing. I was always good in looking at images
Yes.
and interpreting them.
Yes.
I was good at experimenting with the things.
Yes.
And in my school, I was fantastic in science and maths, but I was pathetic in social sciences, Hindi,
Correct.
English, wherever a lot of text was involved. No.
Correct.
I wasn't stupid or dumb.
Correct.
I assessed my IQ scores after my teen age, and fortunately, I scored, between 155 to 160, which is one of the very high level
Correct.
scores.
That's correct. Absolutely.
And so intellectually, I was not bad, but I had the difficulty in reading and writing. If somebody were to assess me on that, they
Yes.
would just label me as,
That's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
poor
True.
IQ.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
That's right.
but the problem that I find with today's system is that when they try to help people with dyslexia, they try to make them like others
Mhm.
who are apparently normal,
Yes.
which is very, very wrong.
Correct.
A person who is dyslexia has a different way of acquiring knowledge, a different channel of input and a different channel of output. We
Love.
need to, tap those channels.
Correct, correct. And that also goes on to, to be extrapolated to other such disabilities or difficulties in people. So take them
Yes,
differently, have different approaches for them. Don't hurt them in the
yes,
same sort of, mass,
yeah.
crowdy sort of,
In fact, don't label them.
yeah, don't label.
It's a, the
Yeah,
dis the dis part, this, dys as the prefix is a bad label.
correct,
No,
correct.
it should be diff, different.
Absolutely, differently
So
able.
these
So,
children are different. So
yes,
their learning style is
correct,
different,
correct.
and they're no, it's not a disability. It's a
No,
difference which is
it's a different
there.
line.
Like the Einstein said
Yes,
that if you assess a fish by its ability to climb the tree,
yes,
it'll always end up failing.
that's right. Fabulous.
And we at our schools these days, and all our efforts are basically, when they find a fish, they try to teach her how to climb a tree,
Correct.
which is wrong.
Which is wrong. How nice, how nice. And the other thing, that the other lesson that gets re-impressed in our chat right now is that the benefit and the huge value of audiobooks.
Yes.
It's not just for the blind. It's for people
Yeah.
with differently able people also can benefit from
Yeah.
the facility of audiobooks. Certainly, that's such a
Audio visuals.
fantastic. Yes, that's right. That's right.
And I say that, if you look at the nature, we are not designed to read patterns.
Yes.
Text is recognizing and reading patterns in rapid succession.
Right.
Nature has not designed anything. There's nothing in the nature where we are supposed to recognize repeatedly changing patterns. No. So our natural design is not that. The nature has not designed us to write, No, have you ever seen any animal trying to write something? No, we are not designed to write. So our systems are actually not designed to read and write. These are artificial skills that we acquire. It's okay if some people are able to acquire and excel in that, perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. But if somebody is not able to do that,
Yes.
don't force them.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. No, lovely. Sanjay, I realized, having looked at, your biography, I realized that learning and teaching are two important cornerstones in your professional life. How do you approach these and how do you enhance them, all the time? And why are they so important to you?
So I had a very short experience of being able to teach, which is
Yes.
about 6 years or so when I
Yes.
was in a medical college, and I was always passionate about learning, also because I had difficulty in learning myself in my younger age. So I knew that what difference a good teacher can make. A good teacher will never teach you. The
Yes.
good teacher will only stimulate you.
Yes.
A good teacher will provide you with this spark. You are the dynamite.
Yes.
You have to explode, but somebody has with the detonator. Teacher is the detonator. Without detonator, a dynamite is also, she will just light up as a
Totally. Yes.
candle.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, so you need to be able to stimulate the student, their interests, excite them, make them interested in the knowledge, and that's how. So my thing is, I always emphasize on concepts, understanding of the principles, understanding of the concept. That's where I help, or I used to help my students. The rest of the learning can happen with experience and with, actually further exploring the knowledge.
Correct. Correct. And I heard a very nice thing yesterday. You were talking about crash courses as a good hub for learning.
Yeah.
On another sort of it's a YouTube channel, and they talked about how mentoring is gaining ground, and how suddenly that's the buzzword. Everybody wants to be a mentor, or seeking a mentor is so important. And it's
Right.
now become a lot of companies, they hire mentors, or people can hire a mentor for themselves. And that channel, that episode said that this concept of making a business out of it is incorrect. Mentoring is altruistic, it's philanthropic. You just
Yeah.
teach people out of a good will, and because you want to impart, because you want good knowledge to sort of gain further momentum. You can't
Right.
really be employed as a mentor. You just have to be intrinsically be a mentor to somebody. And that's what you're going back to as well, to be able to help somebody, to be able to be a detonator, the word that you use. And that's where mentoring and teaching and learning comes from. So you can't really see it in a commercial aspect really. So yeah, that
Yeah,
brings
certainly. So mentoring should not be a commercial
no,
venture.
no, no.
It's like, yeah, it's like somebody, I want to go exploring, go hiking on a mountain, and I ask somebody, okay, fine, you have been there, just guide me how to prepare, plan, and what to take and what to avoid,
Yes,
and that's it. I
correct.
don't want to take somebody as a guide with me because I
Yes,
want to explore that myself. No.
that's right.
So a commercial mentoring is, like if somebody guiding a guide with you who's
Yes,
taking you through the entire route and making it simple for you. No,
correct.
you lose half the experience.
Absolutely.
And whereas, the true mentoring is somebody just tells you what to do, what not to do, and you go and explore it yourself.
That's right. That's right. You have your own tumbles and you have your own falls and you got get them all by yourself and devise your own technique really. So that's what
Yes.
a good
Yeah.
mentor will help you do. Find your
Yeah.
own sort of rocky path and allow you to make it smooth on your own. Fabulous, fabulous. I love the analogy, Sanjay. Really perfect. So that brings me to a request to you to sing a song for us now. And that's I like Devana a lot, and that's why I forced you to have a Devana number also as part of the repertoire. So please do sing the next song that we have a request to you for.
Okay, so you'll have to give me a moment
Yes,
to again change my settings. And so it's a Muhammad Rafi song that I'll
yes,
be singing for you. Uh, 24th of December was the birth anniversary of Muhammad Rafi.
yes.
So we can actually dedicate this as a tribute to him.
True, true. What a legend! What a legend! What a gem we had the fortune to listen to.
It's one of my favorite songs, and I
Yes,
hope you
yes.
like it. पुकारता चला हूँ मैं गली गली बाहर की बस एक छाँव जुल्फ की बस एक निगाह प्यार की पुकारता चला हूँ मैं गली गली बाहर की बस एक छाँव जुल्फ की बस एक निगाह प्यार की पुकारता चला हूँ मैं ये दिल लगी ये शौकियाँ सलाम की यही तो बात हो रही है काम की कोई तो मुड़ के देख लेगा इस तरफ कोई नजर तो होगी मेरे नाम की पुकारता चला हूँ मैं गली गली बाहर की बस एक छाँव जुल्फ की बस एक निगाह प्यार की पुकारता चला हूँ मैं सुनी मेरी सदा तो किस यकीन से घटा उतर के आ गई जमीन पे रही यही लगन तो है दिले जवां असर भी हो रहेगा एक हसीन पे पुकारता चला हूँ मैं गली गली बहार की बस एक छाँव जुल्फ की बस एक निगाह प्यार की पुकारता चला हूँ मैं कोई मिले जो रोक ले पुकार से यूं ही जरा बढ़ा के हाथ प्यार से इधर भी फेंक दे अदा की एक कली गुजर चले हैं दिन यूं ही बहार के पुकारता चला हूँ मैं गली गली बहार की बस एक छाँव जुल्फ की बस एक निगाह प्यार की पुकारता चला हूँ मैं Thank you very much for listening and pardon me for any flaws if they were there.
You are, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, of course I can.
You are so optimally making the best of our digital, provisions, and yet you tender a silent apology. You what a marvelous way, you put your version of the song. And I was wrong in saying it's not a Devanand song. It was picturized on Biswajit. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, this
Yes,
one
that's
was,
right.
the
It was
previous one was the Devanand
That's
song, but
right.
not
That's
this
right.
one. No.
Thank you for
And
feeding into my
but they were
bias.
both Muhammad Rafi's song, and because it was his birth anniversary recently,
Yes,
so I think it was a good
yes,
tribute for him.
lovely,
And what
absolutely.
an amazing singer he was,
Yes,
And
yes,
about music, the other thing is that music is a universal religion.
yes, correct.
There is never ever religious controversy when it comes to music. You get people of all religion, all community coming together,
Yes,
jamming together, singing together,
that's
singing songs of various religion, and it's so amazing,
that's
So I think it's time that we should change our religion to music.
true music. That's right. And we end up liking in our personal taste as well. There would be a melange of music from various, cultural influences. We like a Qawwali, we like
Yes,
something from say, spiritual genre. We like something which is Bollywood or something which is Western classical or Hindustani. So there is
yeah,
really a mixed bag that we like as well, and they come from, they signify different cultures. So it's really, you're
true.
right. It's such a unifying bond that music could be, and is
Yeah,
actually. So,
yeah,
so well said. Absolutely, absolutely. So you sang a song which showed the hero moving on a pathway. So I'm going to talk about one of the pathways that you have taken, and that in your career, you have called an association that you had with Manipal College of Medical Sciences, the Himalayan Eye Hospital, and the FECH in Netherlands. You've called it
yes,
as one of the highly enriching experience, both professionally and spiritually. Can you tell us about that, and especially the latter half? What has that brought to you specifically?
So there was a time I was in Nepal and I was living alone away from my family.
Yes,
And when I was going there and having left all the comforts and the technology which was here to a place which was very, very simple,
yes,
I thought at the back of my mind that I probably would miss those things. I might miss my car, my phone, and the luxuries of the house and living, and uh, and I thought that probably I would not miss my wife or my family too much because we were married for quite some time. So there was a bit of a stagnation there. And when I went there and I spent some time, the most thing that I was surprised about myself was that I did not miss a single material thing over there.
lovely.
And I miss people. I miss my family. I miss my wife. And which came as a surprise to me. I mean, my wife knows this part that, and it is surprise. And there, it's a mountainous terrain. I would go hiking. I would go walking on the mountains. I would go along the rivers, streams. I would sit there in the evening in my alone time and think about things. So one of the realization that dawned on me was that relationships are one of the most important part of our life, and those should be cherished. And people are important. Things are not important. Possessions are not important. Experience is important, and which is what I have been talking to my kids, and they've got really sick and tired of hearing it again and again.
Yes,
That uh, experiential happiness versus material happiness.
yes,
No? And in fact, they've started believing it also. That they also now agree that experiential happiness is better,
absolutely.
lasts longer than material happiness.
Correct.
Uh, you'll be surprised to know that there was a study conducted in the US which actually proved so
I see.
that yeah, that experiential happiness is far more effective, intense, and lasts much longer than the material happiness.
Correct. Correct.
You buy a new car today.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
For a week, you'll be
Absolutely.
thrilled. For a
Absolutely.
month, you'll be happy.
That's
After 2 months, it loses its charm.
that's
You pick up your old car, you go to the hills, go to some remote area,
right. Yes.
and you have a cup of hot tea by the roadside,
Yes. Yes.
and then you get caught in the rain, your car breaks down, you find somebody to get it repaired, and you come back. You
Yes.
have a bad experience on the thing with your bad old car, and you come back, you will remember that experience and cherish that
Absolutely.
experience for the
How
rest of your
fun.
life,
How
not your new car.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Exactly what you're saying, the late deceased actor Sushant Singh Rajput said the same thing. I'm quite fond of him, and I've become much more fond of him and much more sort of, respecting towards him now that he's no more, and I've learned so many new things about him. One thing that he said, and it's just similar to what you have mentioned just now, he said he wanted to, he was craving for new cars, and he wanted the best of, super luxury cars. He wanted a blue Maserati and this, that, and the other. He says, fine. One day I just went out. I was, I'd gone to buy new clothes because I'd been wearing those gym clothes for 15 days. So I said, okay, let me go and buy some sort of, new clothes for myself. He went out to the market. He went to a showroom. He saw a new Harley Davidson, and he bought the car just on an on the bike on an impulse. And he came back in the old clothes. And he says, the new car, the new bike gave me happiness for precisely 5 days, 10 days, a month. And then it was an old car for me. I already have it. But the experience which I have gained and I'm gathering is what stays on. And I like your example, the memory bank of, having, traveled in that broken down car, or staying in that, ramshackle place, getting the car repaired, having a cup of tea. That will fill you with so much more joy and happiness and emotion later on than, cruising in a new car. You're right. You're right. Very well said. Very well said, Sanjay.
And that's another thing which I discovered a few years ago. I was, you know, reading on the internet,
Yes.
and I came across the term called minimalism.
Yes. Yes.
And precisely, I discovered somewhere around, I think, 2012 or so.
Yes.
And there were two gentlemen in US who started this thing about minimalism. and they're quite famous about
Correct.
that. However, minimalism is actually an old Indian concept, which said simple living, high thinking,
Indeed.
sada jivan, uch vichar.
Lovely. Lovely.
And so uh, minimalism has got a lot of value. See, the more material you have, the more cluttered your life is,
True.
the more messed up your routine is, you know.
True.
So having less possessions, maybe good quality possessions
Quite
is
right.
okay,
Quite.
but possession should be less, you know.
Yes.
And you should be spending your resources more on experiencing life rather than collecting things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'd like you to talk about, we spoke about it a few days back when we were, reflecting on how the pandemic was bringing about a change in mindset of people. Suddenly there was less pollution, more bird songs that we could sing. Talk about that, please. And how we should maintain that tempo, really. Pandemic or no pandemic.
What I say is that I think it's man versus nature, nature trying to reclaim itself. Uh, this virus, if we were to look at it in a very, very philosophical way, or this pandemic probably has a message in it, you know, and maybe has a purpose in it. It's
Yes.
probably a wake-up call for the mankind.
Yes.
Uh, we have done a lot of damage to the nature in the name of development and civilization.
Correct.
We have overcrowded this earth, you know. We have messed up with the environment, you know. And probably the nature is trying to bring about some correction. Uh, when there was a lockdown, in 15 days, the air became crystal clear. The Delhi sky, which is, you know, all the shades of gray throughout the year, became blue. There was quiet, you know, the atmosphere was quiet. The silence is missing otherwise. It was quiet.
Yes.
Birds came back. Birds would start to sing.
Yes.
And there was a sudden change. You know, it looked like that humans have been logged in and the nature has
Liberated.
become
That's
free,
correct.
free.
Correct. Correct.
And then, of course, lockdown went away. And as I feared, in no time, things went back to the original, back to the same mad race of, I don't know what is this race about, where are we heading, but it's a mad race. And right now, unfortunately, we don't seem to have learned the lesson
That's
that which we
that's
should have, or at least not too many people have done that. It looks like people are eager to go back to the same way of
true. Yes.
living.
Yes. Yes. That's right. No, that's a major. And you were talking about spirituality as well. I feel that's a very without really mooring yourself to any A religion or B religion, being just spiritual and being connected with the universe and the divinity. It's a big strength in a person. What has been your sort of experience in that sphere?
So I will talk about something called 7P principles of life that I have, the terms that I've coined. You know, it is not my invention. It
Right.
is not my creation.
Correct.
It is, you know, based on my observation of life and experience of life. You know, it is basically a language I'm giving or a classification I'm giving,
True.
which may help people to organize their thoughts and organize their life. You know. So there are 7Ps which are important in life,
Yes.
and there has to be a good, fair balance of those 7Ps. The first P is profession. So for a student, it is education, and for people who are older, it's profession.
Correct.
For a homemaker, it is running the household. So that's the profession. So the first P is the profession. Second P is passion, something that your heart throbs for. You know, that makes you happy, that makes you go crazy, that makes you go mad. That is the passion.
Correct.
And I keep a distinction between the two.
Yes.
Passion and profession have, yes, sometimes passion becomes profession,
Yes.
then you need to have another passion also, I would say.
Absolutely. Fortunate. You are.
Third P is physique, your body.
Yes.
Your body is the instrument allocated to you by nature to perform the function on this earth that you're supposed to do.
True.
If this tool is not functioning properly, your experience in this world, your experience in this life will not be complete.
Correct.
You'll not be happy, you
Correct.
cannot be happy in a bad body.
Yes.
So taking care of your physique is very, very important aspect. The fourth P is people around you, your family,
Yes.
your friends, your employees, your employer, the guard who opens the door for you,
Yes.
your driver,
Yes.
people you meet on the road, the strangers, the people you come across when you go traveling.
Yes.
So all the people,
Correct.
anybody's life that you touch or anybody who touches your life, that touch of lives is important. And we must pay respect to that. And we must make sure that whichever life we touch, we actually enrich in whatever little way. If we adopt this attitude that whoever's life around us we touch, we enrich that, that is enough. We don't need to do more charity than that. We don't need to do much more than that. If everybody starts doing like that, there'll be a network of people enriching each other's life. The next P is paisa. Very, very important, and yeah. So it'll be wrong to say that money is not important. Correct. Money is important. Correct. And why money is important? Because money gives you an ability to do things that you want to do. Absolutely. Money gives you ability to experience life. Money gives you ability to help others. So that the money is important. Absolutely. And I say that there's a chart, there's a growth with money. As the money grows, happiness grows, but there comes a time that with further growth of money, happiness does not grow. No, it plateaus. That's right. And then there comes a time with further growth of money, the happiness declines. Correct. So true. So you do need some money to be happy, to live happily, to live worthwhile life. You do need a little bit more money to be comfortable and make difference to others' life, but that's it. Beyond that, it is a self-defeating thing. Cool. So we should be aware of this fact, and we should try to limit ourselves to that zone where you have enough money to take care of your needs and basic requirement and to help others, and do not go more than that, because then you're kind of when you're going for more money, you are creating more unhappiness for yourself. Correct. That's a fabulous thing. The sixth P is places. It's very, very important. The place we live in, the home that we live in. Yes. Small home, not big house. Yes. Small house, but it should reflect us. The place where we work, that workstation, it should be, it should reflect us. It need not be luxurious big office, but it should reflect us. It should be a reflection of us. Your city, you should explore your city. Your country should explore your country. You should go to different places. And when we go to different places, don't just rush through them. Stop. Stop, stand still. There should be time to stand and stare at things. So absorb the place. Okay. So when you go holidaying, when I go to holiday, I go to one place. I station myself for a few days. I don't hop around. Don't go, hopping, trying to cover more and more in less time. No, go to one place, absorb that place, absorb the culture of that place. Look at the people of that place. Try to capture their emotions, their culture, absorb that, their music, their language, the way they talk, the way they wear their things. It's really enriching. You come back a better human being. So true. So true. The seventh P, and which also brings in your question here, the seventh P is the philosophy. Yes. We must all have a philosophy in our life, because all the life, everything else is basically meant towards the philosophy. There is some purpose for which we are here on this earth. We need to try to discover that purpose, try to find that purpose, and then work to fulfill that purpose. Correct. So I often say that in using a corporate language, we should have a vision mission statement for ourselves. Yes. Define a vision mission statement for yourself. So that is your philosophy. So if these 7 P's, if person were to address all the 7 P's in a fairly balanced way, I'm sure that at the end of the day, you are a person who is happier,
Correct.
more content with your life,
Correct.
and you'll feel that you're more leading a more fulfilling life.
Absolutely. What a wholesome life you would lead. Fabulous.
Yes.
Fabulous. That's right. And so that brings me to your other aspect. And I know that from personal experience that you are a man like that. I've had that experience with you. Why is serving the community so important to you? And what are the initiatives you have taken to make a difference to the society at large, Sanjay? Tell us a bit about that.
So fortunately, I'm in a profession where helping others, serving others is inherent part of it.
Yes.
And probably the love for this profession or attachment with this profession started with my very early life. I don't know whether I shared with you or not. I was born with club feet.
Yes, you mentioned, but
The,
tell us about
yeah,
that.
it's called the technical term is called congenital talipes equinovarus. It's
Huh.
CTEV, was club feet. So, and I was in plaster for almost 4 or 5 years. So I would be visiting hospitals frequently, getting my feet plastered. I have very vague memories. I don't have very clear-cut memories, but I do have some memories. I do have some memories of being in the hospital, plaster being cut, doctors attending to me being in pain. I started walking very, very late. I walked, kids walk at the age of 1. I walked at the age of about 4 or 5 years. And then after that, these were thick, heavy shoes that I needed to wear,
Yes.
and which would ache my feet, and I would be in pain every day. So but that was the association with the hospitals. But somehow, I think somewhere that a need for maybe giving back got imbibed in me, and that's why helping and serving people became important part. And I think my parents too have a role to play in that, because they had similar thoughts and
Yes,
views about
exactly.
life.
Yes.
So this profession gives me the immense opportunity to help others. I was working in some charitable hospitals too in the early part of my career, which really helped me. And my emphasis there was that even though people are poor and they cannot afford the surgeries done are free, we should not compromise on the quality of surgery.
Correct.
And it is possible to deliver good quality services at low cost, which is what I tried very, very hard and succeeded to a great extent in my early part of my career when I was working over there. Right now, I'm working in a corporate hospital. There is not so much of an opportunity to help the poor, but it's not just important that you have to have help the poor. Even the people who are not poor, who can afford, also need help.
Yes.
Everybody needs help.
Everybody.
Everybody suffers disease. Everybody goes through pain. No, an honest service given to a paying patient is as virtuous as giving free service to a poor patient.
Lovely. Lovely. Lovely.
So that's the approach that I have, that whatever work you do, and of course, it's important. You need to make your living. You need to make your life. You need to earn money. That's fine. But do that with all earnestness, with all honesty, with the wholeheartedness, with an idea of actually making a difference, I mean, do it well. I always say, if you want to do something, do it well or don't do it at all.
True. True.
There's no midway. At least in medicine, there's no midway.
True. True. Or for that matter, in any field, whether right now my current role is that of an author, and there should not be any shortcuts. There is no midway really. Whatever you must
Correct.
do it to the best of your ability.
Correct.
And a very important point you touched upon, Sanjay. I was thinking while you were speaking, I was thinking about it, and you then mentioned it. I'm so glad you mentioned it. It's a very important lesson in parenting too. What we are today is also a sum total of what we have acquired from our parents and what we have on our own infused our lives with. So as parents also, they have taught us to be either philanthropic or kind or
Yeah.
honest or with high amount of integrity. And you mentioned that, so yeah, what you learned from your parents as well, and then you carried it forward and added your own elements to it. So that's an important part too. And I remember you've not sort of mentioned it right now, and I wanted to talk about it. Your wife, Nidhi, who herself is an ENT doctor, she has mentioned it in your biography, where she talks about how you helped a blind girl and you gave her clothes of your own daughter and you made her comfortable. Can you tell us about that episode, please, to our viewers?
Well, I think this is something that which many doctors do, and it happens like we often when I was working in medical college in government hospitals, there would often be patients and who would not have enough at their hand, so helping them
Yes.
was a known thing, and giving clothes which are not being used is not a big deal, no, and so we do try to do that, no. A very important thing, which I remember is a very interesting thing that I had a child patient who became my patient when she was about 12 or 13, and in some illness she lost her vision. She became completely blind. She grew up and got married, had a child. A child was about 2 years, and then we tried to help her with the surgery, which was done by a friend of mine in Hyderabad, not here in Delhi.
Yes.
And this girl did not have money to go there. So I helped her with that part, and she went there and she got the surgery done, and she regained some good vision for some point of time.
Fantastic.
And for the first time in her life, she saw the face of her own daughter,
Lovely.
which
Lovely.
was the most amazing thing. Unfortunately, the vision did not last very long. It lasted only a few years,
Right.
But that's what life is, and our idea is, our purpose is that we should do whatever we can, the best we can, and then leave the rest to the powers above.
Correct. 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 I also recall that you had undertaken a very important project that entailed, performing a record number of eye surgeries on train. Can you share that with us, please?
I was fortunate to be part of the project called there's a Lifeline Express train which used to run in across India,
Okay.
and that year it was near Gwalior, the train was stationed, where from various villages the patient would come, they get screened, and be operated in that train. We were a whole team of doctors,
Right.
and we did large number of surgeries. It was not really a record, but it was a large number of surgery.
Yes.
And there are a lot of hospitals, a lot of places where a large number of surgeries happen.
Right.
Typically Nepal, you'd be surprised to know that in Nepal there's a place called Dharan,
Okay.
where they do a huge volume of surgeries. In India, down south, Madurai, they do a large number of surgeries. So there are a lot of places where the large number of surgeries are being
Right.
done.
Yes.
I don't personally get impressed by the volume of surgeries, the
Correct.
number of surgeries done per in a day.
Correct.
My emphasis is always more on the quality of the surgery being done.
Absolutely.
It's better to have, you know 10 surgeons perform 10 surgeries each and achieve a number of 100 good surgeries, rather than having one surgeon performing 100 surgeries
Correct.
and maybe having bad results in a few of
Right.
them.
Yes.
So one should not operate or treat patients for the sake of record. We don't have to be in a
Not
Guinness
a
Book of World
marathon.
Record
Yeah.
for something.
Absolutely.
But what's important is that you should uh, heal, you should cure, you should be able to treat the patient and give good results.
True. True. Is there any thought of bringing that, concept of surgeries on train and touching so many villages? Is that going to be brought back? Is there a thought about it?
So that train has been operational, but
Okay.
somehow it has not been very cost effective. That whole project
Okay. Yes.
run by the Lifeline Express, it's not been very cost effective.
Fine.
So the model of eye care has changed now, and it has evolved over a period of years.
Yes.
Now there are hospitals which are where the surgeries are being done, and there are outreach clinics or outreach camps where the patients are being screened, they brought to the hospital, and then the surgeries are done.
Correct.
It not only makes it more cost effective, more time efficient, but also improves the quality of the results,
Right.
and which is what is being done in a lot of places. I was part of Lions Hospital. There are a lot of Lions Hospitals who are doing that.
Mm.
Hospitals down south are doing that. Hospitals up north are doing that. Nepal had an amazing program for the blindness control.
Right.
So a lot of good work is being done everywhere.
Right. Fabulous.
But
Fabulous.
I would say that I would like to add here that that good work makes my specialty very underrated specialty. People somehow don't give so much importance to eye in ophthalmology until only they get blind. Whereas the
Yes,
glamorous specialties like cardiac surgery and neurosurgery, and nowadays the cancer surgeries, they get all the importance from people and business houses and investors and all, and the government
that's
also.
that's
So, which is the point I would like to convey, that
yes,
I think that every part of the body is important, every
absolutely,
sense is important,
absolutely.
every doctor is important, every patient is important, and a due thing should be given.
That's Dr. Sanjay Dhawan for you, ladies and gentlemen. Such a fine person, such a wonderful professional. I have loved talking to him because he has set such a fine example from his life, through his life's journey, in his profession. He may have grown up with hardships, as he tells us, with a host of challenges that he's grown up with. But the best thing is that he made all those challenges into a support system. He took satisfaction, or more than satisfaction, he learned his lessons well, and he turned them into rock solid foundation on which he's laid an exemplary life for himself. I had a great time talking to him, and we had such wonderful things to talk about. I'm sure you had a great time listening to them as well. Let me say a goodbye to you right now, but with the promise that I will get back Dr. Sanjay Dhawan once again, because there's a whole lot to learn from him, to talk to him about, and to move along in his unique journey. I'll see you when I see you. Bye for now. But before you go away, just before you go away, do like, share, and subscribe to the channel of the High Priestess of Hedonism.